Hello, everyone. It is Tony Lam from the Algo Challenge Association. Thank you for joining the briefing session of the Joint University Algo FX Training Challenge 2021. For today's session, we will firstly provide some guidelines about the first round submission. That is the training proposal that you have already received in a previous email. And then we will conduct a very short coding workshop to help you get familiar with the backtest platform, where you will implement your trading algorithm on the system in the second round. So in the following, let me invite Jim Scott to talk about the training proposal.
Scott.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Can everyone hear me? All right. Okay, Tony, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Just make sure. Okay, just to make sure. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Kwok. I'm Vice Chairman as well as the Supervisory Board Chairman for the Algo Challenge Association. And first of all, my part is going to go through with you guys about the proposal, and then just like several times, we have two contexts before that. We have in this round, we have a proposal, and basically we don't have a very strict limitation, but at least we want to provide some guidelines for you all to let our judges to know about your strategy. So basically we'll divide it into four major categories. But these four major categories will have some perimeters or will have some aspects covering we suggest you to cover. And of course, you might add as you think fits. And then for the first part will be the executive summary. And in this part, you have to at least cover about a high-level description of your own trading area, whether what kinds of trading philosophy or hypothesis you're going to put into your strategy, and then what kind of or which financial market or instruments your strategy would you would like to apply to, and then what kinds of data set or inputs you're going to have your strategy to use in this part. So this is in some sense, is a higher level for our judges to know about your overall general executive summary. And then the second major category we want to know about is how do you implement? It's about the implementation details. First of all, we'd like to know about, say, what is your exact trading logics? What kind of conditions that might trigger your trades? How do you derive your trading model or logic? What kind of theories or methodologies are you indeed applying? And then you might also include some assumptions that you have made when you come up with your strategy. And then this is the second part regarding the implementation details. And then another single part we would like you to single out is in particular about your risk. Hello? About your risk management. The risk management part, of course, you have to highlight what are the major risk factors that you're facing. What kind of, what will be your worst scenario that you might encounter when you come up with your models? And then how do you cope with these kind of risks? How do you manage your risks? So this is a separate topic that you have to let us know how do you cope with the risks. And finally, that will be the capital management. Capital management would like to know about, does your strategy utilize any capital investment? How do you manage your funding liquidity? Would there be any course you have to set an example or to come up with the amounts that can trade your model? Is your strategy really scalable? If it's to scalable up to what level, that will be a limit. Please let us know. What is your minimum capital to execute your strategy? Is there any minimum requirement to go into your strategy? And finally, can your strategy still work if the investment size becomes very large? All right. After all these kind of these four categories, that will bring back to your models to the real life implementation. And in what kind of market situations could your model be favorable to you or not unfavorable to you? Can your strategy also fully automate in the sense that in different market scenario? And how frequent would your strategy is going to be trade? Is it a high frequency trade or just some you buy and hold, and then how would be the frequency that you might encounter? And if it's a very frequent trade, would the cost, the real life cost when charged by different platforms, that might also affect your results? We'll also like to know. So what is your ideal investment size to execute your strategy? Any potential issues that you think might also affect your real trading? So with all these 5 categories, we'd like to know about, we understand that there may be a tight schedule, but you have to come up with all these 5 categories before our judges to know about your idea, how do you implement. And that's all for my part. Tony, let me pass the time back to you.
Okay, thank you, James, for the introduction. Up to this part, any question about the trading proposal from the
Hello, my name is NK. Thank you for the introduction. Is there a template for the parts you mentioned, and is it available, or is it possible to summarize it and send it to us? If it's available, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very available. We can have a template, a proposal sent to you. Maybe Tony, shall we share through email, or we will share? We'll share. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, we have already sent out the trading proposal template to all the registered team. If you have not received, if you haven't received the email, please contact us after this session. Yeah, the trading proposal should look like something like this.
Yeah. And then all those points we've mentioned is just add as some guidelines for you guys. And if you think fit, you want to add some more that might apply to your real cases, your methodology, then you can also include that might help the presentation of your models. Any other questions regarding this proposal preparation?
Hello,
yeah.
Professor, I have a question. So you mentioned that we can choose a market we would like to put our algorithm in. So my question is that would it be only limited to spot markets, or will the futures market will also be available?
Oh, okay. Very good question. That you mentioned, is it a limitation to spot market or futures market, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, in the first place, we suppose spot, but if it thinks fit futures market, does also apply, because we're talking about ethics. So if you think your strategy will work specs on futures, you might, but otherwise by default we'll think spot market.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hello. Perhaps you might take some time to digest if in case you have any problem, and if in a moment we don't have you guys don't have any problem, maybe we proceed further.
Okay.
Tony, yeah, back to you.
Okay. As a reminder, the deadline of the first round submission is the 20th of November. So please submit your trading proposal by this date. For the first one, you don't need to actually code your trading algorithm, and actually for the following coding workshop, it will be for preparation for the second one. So So you guys should have already received an email to log in the backtest platform. If you haven't got the email, please please notice us as soon as possible. So the first of all, let's talk about the overall data processing architecture of the backtest system. Basically, we are using the event stream architecture for data processing. The event stream is basically can be composed of different data sets. For example, it could be a market data, it could be a news, an economic statistic update, or some order status update, position changes, etc. So basically, the idea is like that. Suppose at time 0, we got a market price information from a particular store, and in the following second, we got a news data, and then we got another market data, and etc. And basically, we will obtain a different data stream following in the times. So here is the basic skeleton of the programming framework that you are going to use. The programming language is using Python. So if you are familiar with the Python language, you can see that it is a class. You actually need to develop your code into an ALGOGENE class. So the data processing will look like this. So at the first step, we need to initialize our own variable at this definition init start, and then it will go to the start process, and this start process will trigger the end system to execute your trailing logic. And then we will go to the event stream that we just mentioned before. So you will be you will receive different data update. For example, if it is a market data feed, you will got the market data from this function. If it is maybe a news data feed, you obtain a news data from this callback function. So basically, we just need to fill in the trailing logic, like what we need to do upon receive a particular market data update, etc. So we just design our trading logic, and if there are some trading signal generated, we will submit an order to the system. If it is when there are some order status update from the system, like whether it is opened or closed successfully, or it just got rejected, we will got the order status update from this on order feed function. And then we also will got the position update and P&L update correspondingly. So when we log into the system, we can actually conduct the backtest from this page. Here we can set up our backtest environment from this panel. Basically, when we start building our first training algorithm, we will start everything from the simplest as possible. For example, we can just do a backtest for just 1 month. We can apply to a daily data first. So here you can also apply different assumptions, like whether your strategy enable short selling or not, the accounting phrase used in your trading strategy, the trade transaction cost assumption, etc. So in the following, I would like to talk about some useful API functions that that will be helpful for you to develop your trading algorithm. So basically, you can find all the technical document from this catalog. It provides a very comprehensive explanation about all the API function, how to use and what are the available data return from the function, etc. So the first one we are going to talk about is the console log function. It is a very useful function for you to debug your trading algorithm. Like, for example, if you want to print out the intermediate calculation step, or you want to print out what are the system data that you get from the system. So basically, for the console log function, the input variable is very dynamic. You can just input everything that they are separated by a comma. So, for example, let's go back to our backtest. So, suppose we want to print out the what are the market data that are returned from the platform. We can just do it, do something like this. So you can find the debug message from this console tab. For example, you see because here we choose the 1 day data interval. So basically, when we use this console function for the market data feed, we just got the daily price. For example, you see the 1st of January, the 3rd of January, 4th of January, etc. So basically, you have a basic idea how to use the console function. So another useful function is the historical. It is this get historical bar function, which help you to extract query the historical open, high, close data for a particular instrument. So here, so the input of this get historical path, basically it takes 4 variables. The first one is the contract. So for if we are using a spot contract, we can simply just input the instrument name here. And also the number of bars that we want the system to return. Here are the supported data interval. And also the timestamp. Actually, for this timestamp, it is not compulsory. If we omit this timestamp from the from the function, you basically you will use the current backtest time to count it backward. So, for example, so for example, suppose we are going to query the previous 10 open high local observation for each trading day. We can simply do it like this. So when there's a new data feed sent to this on market data feed callback function, we will trigger the system to execute this function. And then we just print out the results to the console. So here we try to apply this simple script to the Aussie Canadian dollar and see what happens. So you can see the returns from here. So here the meaning is that as of the times of the 1st of January 2016, we get back the previous 10 observation bar. And therefore, the first observation would be the 21 of December. And when it is get to the 3rd of January, the previous 10 observation will start from 22nd of December. So another very useful or very important function is the descent order function. Here are some examples. For example, if we want to submit a market order, we can just simply set the parameter, the order type as 0. If we are going to submit a limit order, we can specify this variable as 1. So if we are submitting a buy order, the buy sell variable is set to 1. Otherwise, for a sell order, it will be a -1. And here we also specify what are the financial instrument that we are going to trade, what are the transaction quantity, etc. And here the order reference is a user-defined variable for you to manage your own order taker. For example, if we are applying some maybe pair trading strategy, if we open two transactions at the same time, we can specify our own order reference so that at a later stage we can easily identify which pair we are going to close the or unwind the trade. So for example, we can take these. So in this example, we are going to submit a market order every day. Because here we are using the 1 day data interval. So when all your data stream obtained is just a daily data. So here when there is a new day market data update, you just call this sample1 function, and in this function we specify our instrument. So here in this instrument we just define our order object like this, and then to submit the order. Yeah, as you can see, here, you can see every day you open one trade for this Aussie Canada dollar, and here are the order reference that we specify. That is the 123. So in this example, we can also see our trading performance from this report. There are quite a number of performance statistics like the sharp ratio, value arrays, etc. And you can look into it later on. So up to this part, any questions from you guys? Okay, I saw a question from the chat post. Is MD a custom class? Okay. So let's get back to this one. So the MD is basically a market data object defined by the system, and it has the following attribute. For example, the instrument expiry date, the bid price, ask price, etc. So you can access the corresponding variable, something like this, MD dot the attribute, just like what we have did previously. Yes, this should be this one. Yeah. So here, when we try to print out the empty function, we can see it contains this variable, and it is actually exactly the same as this one. Okay. Any other question so far? So if not, we can further go into to cover our first change strategy. So in this example, we will take reference from this article. It is a very basic idea using the RSI indicator. So if you are familiar with the RSI indicator, the idea is basically the RSI indicator is basically an oscillator function where the value is basically oscillating between 0 and 100. If the RSI value is very low, it usually indicate the particular instrument is oversold, and sometimes people would suggest it is a buy signal. On the other hand, when the RSI value is very high, it may suggest an overbought situation, and sometimes it will suggest a sell signal. So suppose we want to apply this change strategy into the backtest system. So let's us explicitly define our trading logic as follows. For example, we use a rolling window to collect the previous 14 closing price to calculate the RSI value. And then we will check whether our current position, whether we have outstanding position or not. If we have no outstanding position, and if the RSI value is below 30, and then we will submit a buy order. And on the other hand, if we have no outstanding position and the RSI value is greater than 70, we will open a sell order. For the order close condition, suppose we have previously submit a buy order below the RSI value 30, and when the RSI value reverse back to or above 50, then we will close the buy order. On the other hand, if we previously submit a sell order when RSI is around 70, and then we will close the order when the RSI value reverses back to or below 50. And we just repeat the whole process every day. Okay. So first of all, we will use the TA library for the RSI value calculation. So we can import our module at the beginning, like this. And then we will initialize our variable. For example, we define our RSI period as 14 days. So we define 14 here. And here we will dynamically extract the instrument that we are selected from the backtest panel. That is this one. Basically, the subscribes list, the variable here will you can obtain what you have selected from this instrument list. So here the 0 means you obtain the first selected instrument. And then we can fill in our trading logic inside the market data feed function. So here we define our timer when the current time is greater than or equal to the previous time plus 24 hours. We then query the past 14 days historical data. And here we update our timer at the end of this function. So here we make sure this function can execute every day. So basically, when we calculate the RSI value, we as our previous logic, here we just use the closing price. So here we just extract the closing price into a list format. And then we will call the TALib library for the RSI calculation. Basically, the return, if we just use the RSI function for the calculation, we will return a list of array. The negative one here means that we will obtain the latest value. And then this line, we just print out the calculated result into the console log. So let's see. So we can try this. Yeah, just like here, we can find out the RSI value every day. So you can, from this console, you can see if we use our 3070 threshold for order entry, probably we will open order on this day. And also this day. So we can further go into the order entry logic. So here we are at the initialization step. We will further define our RSI overbought and oversold threshold. And we also define our last trade ID. Because when we go back to the order placement function, if we want to close a particular trade, we need to explicitly define the trade ID. So here we define a variable to manage what are the last trade, what is the last trade ID. And similarly, we make our open order function. And the info variable is just whether it is a buy or sell. And we simply use a market order to submit the trade. And the quantity is 0.01 lot of export. So let's continue to fill in our logic in the on-market data feed function. So here, after the RSI calculation, here we will check whether our current position is 0 or not. And then we will check whether the current RSI value is greater than or greater than our predefined RSI overbought threshold. And if it does, then we will submit a sell order. And on the other hand, if the current RSI value is below the oversold threshold, we will submit buy order. So basically, in the orders, in this part, we just supplement this open order function as well as this field slide. So you can try. In this cell, there is rejected due to. Oh, because here we have specified the short selling is false, meaning that we cannot open a sell order if we don't have sufficient positive inventory, and therefore you can see our sell order is rejected by the system. And here we just see that we just have the buy order when the RSI value is below 30. So here I use 40 and 60. Never mind, the concept is just similar. So we can continue to fill in the trading logic for order exit condition. So here we will use the on order feed function. As mentioned at the beginning, when there are some order status update from the system, we will obtain the status update from this function. And therefore, here we will, and here we will fill in our logic from this function. So if we see that the submission status is success, then we will update our position variable. If you still remember, at the beginning, we initialized our overall position equal to 0. So when there are some successful order submission, we will update our position variable here. And if our current position is 0, we will set the last chair ID equal to an empty string. Otherwise, it will be the system chair ID. And then here we define another order closing function. This function is quite simple. We just take in 2 variables. We specify the open close as close, and also the chair ID equals to our last chair ID. And then we also supplement our on all the market data feed functions here. So we just add these few lines. So when for the else case, if current position is non-zero, we will check whether whether we have positive inventory. If it is a positive, we have positive inventory and the RSI value is greater than 50, then we will close the order. And similarly, and that is these two statements. And similarly, if we have a negative order inventory and the RSI value reverse back to or below 50, we will also close our order. And here is our final script. And you can see here we define our RSI variable and also the position and last chain ID in this initialization step. And we also create two functions for open order and close order function. And here we also utilize the on order feed function to update our position and also the last JID value. And then our order entry and order exit logic is basically fill inside this on market data feed function. So let's try to apply this algorithm. So here was 3070. Let me enable short selling as well. Okay, you can see our sell order can now submit successfully. So as you can see, we have previously submit a sell order on the 1st of January. And then on the 8th of January, the RSI value reversed back to below 50, and therefore our previously opened order closed now. And similarly, on the date of 11th of January, the RSI value is below 30, and therefore we submit a buy order on this day. And later, when it is go to 22nd of the January, the RSI value go back to about 50, and therefore we unwind our this order. And therefore we got two completed transactions here. So when we take a look for this chain report, we can see that actually we end up with a gain. So basically, from this example, we can see that we can confirm that our script are okay and they are logically correct, and there are no bug, and therefore we can try to generalize this script to a longer period and to see how it works. and to apply to even take using a take data to see whether it is to make it more realistic. So I will leave it for you to further explore this RSI strategy. So here, actually from the previous example, we can see that actually we have defined our variable using the position and last JID. Is there a better way to extract this information from the system instead of using our own variable to identify to calculate by ourselves? Actually, we can utilize this API function, the query server order. Yeah, basically, this function will return three outputs. The first one is about the current position. The second one is all our outstanding order. And the third one is the outstanding limit order. So we can utilize this function to achieve the similar logic here. So I will leave it for you to explore by yourself. So up to now, any question? If not, then we can move forward. So in the following, I would like to talk about some advanced usage. For example, if sometimes you have developed some training model on a local machine and you want to plug into the system to do the backtesting, we can actually take reference from this article to see how to do so. So in this example, suppose we have a very simple Python package called my_model, and in this package we have one function called function1, and also the init file. For example, if this function1 we have define our own functions here. My difference, my add, and my multiply. So the next step is we can upload our package to the ALGOGENE system in the following way. So we can go to my history, and there is a custom file viewer, and we can select the lib folder, and then to upload our package to this folder. And for this example, we suppose we upload successfully, we can see the function. You can see the function here. So in the following way, suppose we want to call our defined custom function, for example, my add or my multiply function. Actually, we can import using this self-event include function to import our Python module. And then to make this function as a global variable, and then we can use this function to do the calculation later on. So if you do require some external model plugin, you can actually refer to this article to have a look. So another usage is about data plugin. Suppose you have your algorithm does not only require market data, news, economic statistics. Maybe you have some other variable. For example, you use the interest rate, treasury interest rate from U.S. government, etc. To derive your trading algorithm. You can also follow this guideline to plug in your own data set. So in this example, in this article, we use the example. Take the example from Yahoo Finance. For example, we want to use HSBC and China Construction Bank, the stock price. We can do a similar way. We can upload our data to this data folder. Then here we will specify how the system can pass a data folder. For example, here we can specify the file name, the file delimiter, the period start, and what are the settlement currency, the lot size, the base format, where are the columns of open, high, low, close, etc. Here we define our own custom symbol. So when, for example, in this example, we define as HSBC and 10 cents. And then when we go back to backtesting, here we can find our HSBC and 10 cents here. And we can do our backtest in a similar way. Anyway, the idea is just like this. You can plug in your data set. For example, if we just like for example, if we use the US Treasury interest rate, we can also create our own data file and also to specify our data formats. And we can simply conduct the testing in a similar way. So that's all for my sharings today. Any questions from you guys? Yes, we will make this Zoom recording. We will send the recording to you after this session.
I think Tony, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think yeah, Tony, you have covered most of actually some highlights as well as some most useful function that are covering the system. And then it might take time for all of our contestants to be familiar with the systems. But don't get us wrong, this is part of the competition. But by the first phase, which is about the trading proposal submission, you don't need to include any coding in this round. So you guys can take some time to be familiar with the coding as well. In case there's some question, maybe you might have some other time to ask. But for the very first, you have to come up with the trading proposal, and then you also need to explain in details. We have covered about those 5 categories, and then that will also affect the best design, or later on we have some other selection criteria of your portfolio and your models inside our competition. But for Tony's part, hopefully he has already highlighted most of the useful function, and then let's see, and then you have any other question, we may take time to follow up with you guys. Yeah.
Here we got a question about whether my final coding have difference with my trading proposal. Basically, we will take reference from your trading proposal to proceed to solely whether you can proceed to the second round.
Yep.
Yeah. If we basically will assume you will implement your trading algorithm according to your trading proposal. So if you make some significant difference from your trading proposal, we will need to consider.
Yeah. So that's why even though coding is not required in this round, including in the proposal, but you have to think about the linkage in between. Any other questions before we go? Otherwise, I think, Tony, we can also open to receive any email regarding your coding or functions that if they have some other queries on the functionality.
Yeah, so if you have further questions, you can feel free to drop us an email.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One thing before we go, we have mentioned about the proposal. If you are also forming a team, not just on your own, but in a team of another teammate as well, you have also better to submit about your team biography as well. Of course, if you are on your own, you can submit simply your own biography. If you are in a team, then please describe about your team. And that should be all that wrap up about what we want to cover today. Okay. So Tony, shall we end here?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.